And in terms of everywhere you've been, what was your favourite place to live? Like, just culture-wise, like, what did you enjoy the most and why?
So I really enjoyed living in Ottawa when I first moved out there. Loved it. Like I said, I had a really good relationship with the coaching staff. The players were amazing, great group of lads. Really good group to be a part of them. I don't know if that was because it was my first time living in a different continent sort of thing, and everything was new and shiny to me. I don't know, but I really loved that place. The culture around it was fantastic. I mean, again, coming from English Football League, where you'd be playing, then after the game you just drive home and then that's it, it's done. Over there it was like we'd play a game and then we'd go out for a meal as a team. Do you know what I mean? Everyone would go and have a little bit of food together, or some of the lads might have a couple of drinks if we've won. And it give it a bit more of a bit, I don't know, I just think in terms of team building and culture, it was fantastic. It's probably more reminiscent of what football would have been like back in the 70s or 80s, where there was a bit more of that camaraderie.
Sort of thing, yeah.
And that was really nice to experience. Obviously nowadays you've obviously got all your sports science and stuff like that involved, so there was no big drinking sessions or nothing like that. I mean, I'm not really a drinker myself anyway, but just going out for a bit of food with the lads, it was great. And then the other place I really enjoyed living was Hartford in Connecticut. Lovely part of the United States, and it was really relaxing there during the week. You go to football, work hard, train hard, come back and have a sleep, go to the gym. So you really focused on your football. And then after the game, we used to do recovery day of death, so we'd go in and recover the next day. And then after that, around 12 o'clock, you've done your recovery. A couple of us would drive down to New York and spend the day and night in New York and have a little bit of time around the city. So you're getting the best of both worlds. You've got that little bit of big city feel in terms of going there, or you could pop up the other way to Boston. Now, I regret it now. I actually never went to Boston, and I wish I had, because it's meant to be a fantastic city as well. But I think I was having such a good time when I popped down to New York that I couldn't get enough of it. But I really enjoyed living in them two places. Like, if I had to pick my two favourites, it would without doubt be Ottawa and Hartford. Like.
And what was Brazil like? Obviously, from the outside point of view, you get this idea it's like samba lifestyle, sort of a bit mad. What was that like?
So I think if you were to go to like Rio de Janeiro, Sao Paulo, Florianopolis, something like that, you're going to get that sort of lifestyle. Where I was in Belém, it was a bit of a different vibe. You know what I mean? It's up north in the Amazon, near the Amazon, and that sort of lifestyle wasn't quite as available. So for me, it was predominantly I'd go to training, and then like you're back in your apartment for the rest of the day until you went back to training the next day. And people from the club would always tell me that, like, Ryan, you can't go outside your apartment after dark, and if you do want to go outside your apartment in the daytime, you can only go with someone who's Brazilian and stuff like that. So I was very limited in what I could do. So I think that took its toll on me eventually. But in terms of the people, like I said, Brazilians are amazing people, really good guys.
Sound. Going back to your Morecambe days, obviously you mentioned that game against Wolves, an iconic moment for you on TV, and obviously it was a cracking free kick. Have you always had that in your locker? Is it something you've worked on throughout your career, like the free kicks? Or?
So I've always been technically very good. That was one of my strongest things. As a kid, everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses. Mine was being technically proficient. And then when I was 20, this was halfway through my season at Rill, I got introduced to a fella called Bartek Silvestrak, who's a ball striking expert. And I think at the time he was working with a few lads from Crewe, Nick Powell and Ashley Westwood. Obviously both have gone on to do, good things in the career. And I think initially Bartek wasn't too keen on working with me because I was a non-league player and he just wanted to work with pros. And someone said, listen, give Ryan a chance. He's going to, and then give me a chance. And as he said I'm one of, if not the best players he's had to sort of pick up the technique. I've got a unique balance between power and the technique. And I work with him constantly for about 2.5 years. Every Wednesday, taking 300 shots every Wednesday. My groin was hanging off after it.
I was going to say, bloody hell, repetitive strain.
So that was started January 2012, and obviously the Wolves game was around August 2013, so I had a good 18 months of working with Bartek at this point. And yeah, I actually said to the lad, you can see me speaking to a tall lad called Tony Diani. I'd had 2 free kicks that game from the other side, and the keeper had managed to save them. I think they're both on target. But on that other side was where I regularly practice with Bartek.
Yeah.
And Tony was like, let me have this one. And I just looked at it. I was going to let him have it. And I just knew I was going to score. And I said to him, I said, Tony, I said, I'm going to score this. I said, I'm taking it. So then, like, it's probably one of the only moments I've had in my career where I knew I was going to score. And it's funny because my mum was actually in the crowd, and some fella was, I think he was a reporter, was sitting next to him when that free kick, obviously the ref blew the whistle. Apparently my mum said she was like that, had her head in her hands, and the fella said to me mum, said, "Oh, are you all right there?" And she said, "No." She said, "I know he's going to score." Because she like, I can hit from that range, I can hit that shot probably 7 times out of 10, you know what I mean? That's just where repetitively, I've done that shot 300 times for so many weeks. So she knew I was going to score. I'd said to Tony I was going to score, and yeah, the inevitable sort of happened, and it went in. And the fella after it was like, "How did you know he was going to score?" I said, "Oh, it's my son. I know he practices like that shot every Wednesday." Like, so that was quite a fun experience, and it was just nice for the club as well and the fans. We had a really, like I said, a really community-based team there, and the fans they had a great night that night. And then Newcastle coming to town a few weeks later, and I think they must have brought a couple of thousand with them. The place was packed out again. It was another night on Sky Sports. So financially, it was great for the club as well. And as a player, they're the experiences you live for.
Would you say that's one of your highlights of your career?
Oh, 100% more, just because of the emotion in the crowd that night. The stadium was electric. Like,
it's a very they're very close to the pitch as well, aren't they? Very like on top of you at the Globe.
Exactly. I mean, probably only about 5,000 in there. In Ottawa, we were getting like between 7,000 and 9,000 at a game, but then the atmosphere of that night at Morecambe was bouncing a hell of a lot more, because in Ottawa it was a 25,000 seat stadium, whereas at Morecambe you were looking at 5,500 stuck in a 6,000 seat stadium. And like you said, close to the pitch, it was, you could feel every emotion in the stadium that day. So that was really enjoyable, and nice to see Morecambe doing, having a really good strong season this year.
Yeah, really well, aren't they? Yeah, pushing for. They had a good win last night, 94th minute and 96th minute goals against Salford. So fair play. Are you still in touch with a lot of the lads then? And
I'll speak to a few of the lads now. A lot of them have left and moved on. I mean, it's been nearly 6 years since. It's funny that, because you look back and you think like, wow, where's my
life gone?
I'm really fortunate in the sense that, I mean, it was difficult at the start of my career, and like, I probably physically matured late. So at 21, whereas some lads were like men, I was probably still like a kid, but I still feel like my body's 21. I've been touched. I'm very fortunate. I've never suffered a major injury, and right now I probably feel like I've got the body of a 21-year-old, but now with the mindset of a 29, 30-year-old. You know what I mean? So I kind of feel like the next few years I'm probably going to reach my prime, which will be a little bit later to other people. But it's one of them. I think, footy's like, people see you get to the age of 30 and they just start, suddenly them 2-year deals will become 1-year deals and stuff like that. It's one of them for me. I mean, I just love playing football, always have done, and I think I'm just going to keep playing until the wheels fall off, to be honest.
Yeah, go for it. Make the most of it. Would you say Morecambe was the best time of your career in terms of like prolonged football, like a run in the side, and that was the.
I had a run in the team, a real good run in the team around 2013 with Morecambe. 2014, not so much, but I had a solid, like, at Ottawa, I was always in the team, and basically the last couple of years since, it's funny because I've been playing a bit deeper the last few years. Been playing like as like a 6 or an 8, and that's where I probably feel the most comfortable early on in my career, because again, I'm like I said, I'm technically decent with a good shot. They're trying to play me as a 10, so I could be around the goal. But probably my biggest strength is my organisation on the pitch. I can organise and I can control the game. So since I've been playing as a 6 and an 8 the last 2 or 3 years, like since probably halfway through the year at Harvard, I didn't miss a game. But from that point on, Jimmy played me all the time. Sweden played every game. So for me, I'd probably say in terms of performance, my best few years have been the last 3 years. I feel like I've kicked on, if that makes sense. But like I said, it's with football. You know, if I'd have been putting them performances in at 21, and I'd probably been if I'd matured a little bit earlier and had this mindset that I've got now at the age of 21, things may have panned out a little bit differently. You know, you may get more opportunities and stuff like that. But because of my age now, 29, I know it's something clubs think about. So it's.
How would you say your mindset has changed then? Like you mentioned that, like what is it that's clicked for you, and how does that affect your game?
One thing is confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like as a kid, you were always like. I always sort of felt like maybe because it come from non-league that I was like, not that I didn't belong there, but even times when I was playing well and doing well against against Wolves and Newcastle, you're always just waiting for it to end. You know what I mean? But now I've got that confidence in myself and that sort of authority in a way. For example, when I went to Sweden, it didn't take long for the lads to realise that I was going to be the organiser on the team. You know what I mean? I was going to, I was very vocal on the pitch, and I never had that as a kid. You know, I just maybe that's just growth and maturity as a person or experience. I don't know, but either way, like I walk into a place now and I feel very confident in my abilities. Like as a kid, and that probably is evidenced in my consistency in my performances now. Whereas as a kid, sometimes one week I could be up there and I could be unbelievable, and the next week I'd be anonymous. Whereas now I'm always floating around like there, and I'm probably a lot more reliable to a coach now. You know, he knows what he's getting from me every game, and he knows I can probably bring the best out of my teammates as well. So that's something I actually had this conversation the other day with an ex-teammate of mine. I said, like, I wish I had this sort of mentality as a younger player. And I think, truthfully, I've probably physically matured a lot as well. I was looking at some pictures from summer of 2013 the other day, and I was 22, and I was ripped and stuff like that, but I still had a boy's physique. You know, like I look at myself now, I've got a man's body now. Do you know what I mean? And that physically, again, that's just luck of the draw, though, isn't it? Some lads physically mature at 18, 19. And, I think you can see that you look at someone like a Wayne Rooney. He was a man at 16. Do you know what I mean? But then at the same time, he's retired now at 34.
Yeah, you can burn out a bit quicker, can't you?
Jamie Vardy's the same age as him, and he's still doing the business in the Premier League, but he obviously wasn't at the start of his career. So, everyone's going to have the moment. I think you just got to try and capitalise when it's yours. So for me, I'm looking forward to me next opportunity, and definitely ready to go. That's something I do as you get a little bit older. I'm nailed on with my diet every day, and I'm in the gym all the time. Because as a kid, you sort of take that for granted a little bit. So naturally, your professionalism goes a lot higher, and that sort of stuff. And so they're probably the biggest changes I've experienced like through my career. And it's funny, I can chart year on year. I look back at each team I was playing for or where I was, and I can see sort of the growth in myself as a person. So that's for me, that's a huge plus point. Like, and that's sort of why I'm more looking forward to football over the next 4 or 5 years into me, into my 30s than the first stage of my career, because looking back, I probably wasn't ready to take them next steps. I think Brentford probably, if I'd have gone to Brentford after 2 or 3 years of playing abroad, things would have been different. I mean, I look back now and I probably wish I'd gone to college in America and done the university thing, because if I'd gone there, I'd have probably ended up in the draft, and then you end up in an MLS system. Then once you're in the MLS, then you can branch out. But
was Brentford just too big of an opportunity to turn down? Obviously, like jumping up 2 leagues, they were very much on the up. Was it Mark Warburton there at the time then, or?
There was a guy called Magnus Kusen, and then he was literally there for pre-season and about 4 games, and then he was gone. So you're like, geez. And then Lee Carsley took over for a bit. I think he's at Man City now. And then the last month of it, Dean Smith took over. So it was But then I look back at when I was at Brentford, and like I was 24, but I was still a kid. I'd never lived away from home. I'd never,
Mm.
nothing like that. And I didn't have the confidence in myself to impose myself in the dressing room. Do you know what I mean? So I think I was looking I was looking around the dressing room. You're seeing a lot of lads. Some of them have been bought for big money. Some of them are earning big money, and you're a little bit like, wow, you know what I mean? It overwhelms you a little bit. Whereas now, I think because I've seen so much, I wouldn't even think about it twice. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You just come there to do your job. But again, it's little things like you go from Morecambe where everyone's coming in like in a Vauxhall Astra, and you go to Brentford and there's G wagons and Porsche Panamera. It's a jump, but obviously with the experiences that you go through, that I've been through from playing in different countries, that starts to then just casually become normal. So it's not a jump for you no more. You see these things, and it's not a big deal. So that's my viewpoint on it and the way I sort of look at it. I think if that Brentford opportunity that rose now, if I was 24 now, but I had my current mindset and I've got the experience that I've got, things would have definitely been different.
Yeah, fair enough. So where do you see the next few years? Obviously, we're obviously winning mad times at the moment, but where ideally do you want your next football steps to be? Is there a country that you haven't played in yet that you perhaps fancy going to, or do you want to stay back home? Or
so for me, it's funny. England's a unique market in the sense that should you leave England, sometimes it can be tricky to get back.
do you feel like once you do leave, you're almost off the radar? Like English clubs forget about you, even though you're perhaps playing at a decent level. It's like, if anything, they should stand out a bit more, shouldn't you?
Well, you think that, but that's definitely how it works. And I think if you look at teams abroad, they have no hesitancy. If you've been playing in America or you've been playing in Brazil, Sweden will take you straight away. You know what I mean? Things like that, but it's not the same. So as much as I'd love to have another season in England, and I know for a fact I could definitely contribute to a team. Whether that's going to be a realistic possibility, I don't know. I'd love to play back in America as well. I really, really like it out there. A lot of them don't know what's going on. I don't think with the COVID and all that sort of stuff, so that's a bit tricky. But in the short term, I think I'd love to experience playing in Asia or the Middle East. I'm waiting to hear back on a few things in the next few days. There's been interest out there, so hopefully I know a little bit more in the next 7 days. But I'd be more than happy to go and experience the football out there. I know obviously a lad who was at Brentford when I was there, Nico Yanaris, he's out in China doing really well on the league last season. The Danish lad who played with Brentford, Lasse Vibe, he went out and played in China for a little bit. I actually spoke to him the other month, and he's back in Denmark now with Midtjylland. So it's nice to see lads getting out there and branching out and trying things. Because you only get one career, and I think you've got to make the most of it.
Definitely, I think football's in the general working life, football's one of those careers where you do get massive opportunities in any country. So, like you said, you've got to make the most of it. It's a short career, so why not go and live in China for a bit? Like, how many of the chances would you get in a different industry?
Exactly. And the thing with going abroad and experiencing all these things, you meet so many different people as well. So, I mean, I mentioned to you when we were speaking last week in terms of I met people when I was in America. And for the last 18 months, we've been building a football app that could potentially revolutionise football. Do you know what I mean? It could be something that there's a huge market for it. That's all I can really say on it right now. But hoping to have that up and running on the App Store by the summer at the latest, and that's something that everyone can get benefit from. And had I only ever stayed in England, I'd never experienced that. And had the opportunity to meet these sorts of people. So for me, it's been a fantastic journey.
Yeah, and everything with Brexit at the moment, obviously, is making it pretty tough to get outside of Britain. I try and help a few players and scouts and agents myself, and there's just it's tough. Unless you've got an Irish or an EU passport, has there been a few blocks for you, or do you see a way around that at the moment?
It's been tricky. I was speaking to a team the other day, and they're interested in me going there, but I can't fly direct to that country I've got to go to another country for 2 weeks first.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to hear back on that, and it's just a tricky time for everyone right now, isn't it? And
Yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, there's no point complaining about it. It is what it is. Just gotta keep cracking on, and sure everything will work out the way it's meant to.
Hopefully. So yeah, so you've been keeping yourself busy. So obviously during lockdown, etc. How have you found it? Like, you just smashing the gym every day? Like,
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, I haven't stopped. Like I can't wait to go back to football because I'll get a bit of downtime, because I'll go to
yeah,
footy the best day. But right now, I'm literally up in the morning. First thing I'll do will be bang, breakfast, go to the gym, train an hour and a half, or not necessarily the gym because the gyms are closed, but I'll be out, running, ball work, whatever it may be. Do that, come back, and then I've obviously got my financial plan business which I'm working on, which has been going really well, especially in terms of advising people, and I had a lot of footballers get in touch and that sort of stuff, so I help them out in any way I can. And then obviously I'm working with the time zone when my app developers are in America are up, then I'm on calls with them, and then we're building relationships and partnerships with other organisations ready for the launch and that sort of stuff. So I've had that taking up my time, and I've also for the last 3 years I've been quite big into cryptocurrency like Bitcoin
oh
and
yeah,
that sort of. I've been following the markets with a lot of interest, especially the last few months because it's been popping off. So I've had a lot going on, to be honest with you. Yeah, so it's been a busy time.
sound good to keep busy, I suppose. So with the app, like, tell us as much as you can on that. Like, how did it start? Was it just people that you played with in America sort of had an idea? Like, how did you get involved with that?
I was literally driving home from New York. I think it was a Monday night, a Sunday or a Monday night. I was with my friend Jose Angulo. I was in the car and we were listening to some music on the quiet night driving back, and this idea just come to my mind. So I was like, that's something I'd use and I'd use every day. So I typed it on the App Store because I thought surely someone's brought this out. So I downloaded it and it's not available. So I was like, hmm. So then I got in touch with a Russian fella who owns a suit shop up in Hartford. He owns like a suit shop. He owns like a couple of coffee shops. He's a businessman.
Yeah,
And it was funny, I actually ran into him in the barber shop. He was a huge soccer fan. So, he started asking me about football. I was asking him about business. So I said to him, can we have a sit down? I've got an idea I want to propose to you. So I proposed it to him and he loved it. So he then went and sourced that developer for me, and they've half built the app now. And then literally last week I had a meeting with app development company from the UK who have done work for PlayStation, Universal Studios, as they're a very, very big company, and I presented the idea to them and the build on the app, half it's built, and they loved it. They said this is incredible, like, so they want to take over the app build now, so we're going to bring them on board and they'll hopefully polish it up and have it up and running, ready for the App Store in the next 14 weeks. But I can't say too much at the minute, but what I can say is hopefully within the next 4 weeks, a website will be available for
yeah,
you to register and basically register your interest and your create a profile and stuff like that, and have a username all set up. So ready for when the app does launch on the App Store. So I'll send that to you, and you can share that with your followers, and they can have
absolutely.
access to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I've already been speaking to an organisation who represents about 600 to 800 current professional soccer players, and about having an official partnership with them, which we just got some more meetings with regards to that next week, and that'll be hopefully so straight away. There could be 600 to 800 pros already on there on the app, ready to make use of it basically. But there's so many avenues the app can take as well in terms of development and long term, phase 2, phase 3. Just in terms of development, it's all going to be based on the user. What does the user want, and how can we best service them? So yeah, that's something I'm really excited for. Really, really excited.
sounds good. Sounds good. So in terms of your football career, next 5 years, ideally, how do you see it panning out? And then would you want to stay in, like you mentioned, like sort of technical director? Do you still want to be
Yeah,
involved in the game once your playing days are over?
I've always loved the game, always have since I was a kid. So I definitely envisage myself staying in the game in some capacity. And at least next 5 or 6 years, I want to keep playing. I want to play at high level as I possibly can. That's always my aim, to keep pushing, especially because of the way I look after my body and how fit I feel. As long as I'm fit and healthy, I'm just going to keep playing as long as I can. I played with a couple of guys in my career who have been huge assets to the teams I've been on, and they were 36, 37, 38. So I don't see no reason why that can't be myself either.
Yeah, sounds brilliant. And coaching, managing, is that something on the agenda for you, or?
It's funny because a couple of lads, a couple of my ex-teammates have said to me, like, so we think you'd be a great manager, like, but I don't know. I'm still undecided on it. Still undecided if that's something of what I went into. For me, it would be, obviously you want to achieve the best results you can for the team, but for me, I'd also want to focus on bringing the best out of the players and giving them a platform where they really enjoyed themselves. Really felt comfortable expressing themselves, they developed and get the best out of them. Because I think if you can not just nurture people in terms of football, but also in terms of as human beings, really understand people on a human level, then I think that adds value to the team in a massive way. That's something only a couple of managers in my career have felt that they've made the most of. You know what I mean? So if I could bring that, and I felt I was capable of bringing that to a team or an organisation, then it's something I'd definitely consider. But again, even if it was potentially a role in some sort of technical capacity, like a technical director, I think strategizing and planning ahead and planning for the future and coming up with a bit of a battle plan on how to progress and what direction to take an organisation, that's something I'd definitely love to be involved in. I mean, ideally, I think like anything, you have to learn the ropes, and it's not something you can just jump straight into. So if I could, you can find a mentor or someone who's current technical director and shadow them for a year or two and really learn from them, then you're going to put yourself in the best position then to move on to an organisation and take up that role yourself somewhere.
Well, I think with the contacts you've developed throughout your career in all four corners of the world, pretty much, I think you'll be all right going forward. Whether it's help and advice from anyone, or if someone wants to get you on board with them, so I think you'll be all right with that, don't you?
Definitely. I do think I could bring a lot of value, in one of them roles, purely just based on the contacts that I've made in it. So that's something that's a stage of my career I'm definitely looking forward to, and I think when I get to that stage, I'll be a little bit older. I'll definitely be ready to put down roots for at least a couple of years at a time, in a certain place. So that's something I'm excited for.
Well, good luck with the next step, wherever that may be. Hopefully, football gets back to normal and you get a club sorted, whatever part of that world will be. And keep in touch about the app and whatever's happening in that, and we'll be happy to share it and get involved as much as we can.
Appreciate it. No, thanks for your time.
No worries. Thanks for coming on, Ryan. I'll speak to you soon. All right.
Yeah. Bye.
See you later.